Hello and welcome to this bonus lecture. In this lecture, I'll be sharing with you an updated version of the summary for the pivot table Power Query prepayment model. As you can see, now this model has been updated slightly, the main model area with the opening balances. See the previous or most recent bonus lecture I have published regarding this particular scenario where we have now opening balances, and you can start using the model from any date. You can audit any other prepayments or schedule you may have. If you're an auditor or if you're an analyst, you can audit the prepayment expenses for any organization, your client or your own organization or different division with this kind of scenario. So I've explained this entire process and also the new formula and this new column which I have added in the lecture. So check out that bonus lecture. Now this is the same model. The exact core engine of the model is same, but now this is the version of Power Query pivot table. If you remember, I had one more bonus lecture where I have shown you how to allocate this prepayment expenditure or prepayment balances to division in a certain ratio, or if you know exact division what to allocate, you can put it here as well. Now in the earlier bonus lecture, I have created this table manually, but in this particular scenario, I have created this particular table, the allocation table. You can say this particular section, it is automatically generated based on this particular table. So let's go back to the queries. If you go inside the query, this particular table is being created on the first column. So this is the allocation table start. So this is the table from where we are starting. So how it is coming? So it is coming from this particular query. This is prepaid summary query, which I have already shown you how to create. It's just a consolidation of all the sheet, but we will go through that in a moment. So once I get this particular table, I'm linking that query as a reference. So as you can see here, the source is this table. So is equal to prepaid table, and then I'm removing other columns, and then I'm removing the duplicate. So I get this column, so which I'm loading here in this section here, right? So if any new prepaid expenditure is added here, it will automatically come here and then also here, and it will be added as a rows. So currently we have total 6 prepayment sheets, so prepayment expenditure. So we have total 6 rows, but then I have added this particular sections, division A, B, C, D. So you can put whatever name you like, or if you have lesser, you can do that. You can just delete the columns and you can put the percentage accordingly. So this is just a rough check, control check, that this all should be equal to 100 always. So for time being, I have created this kind of dummy data. So this particular section of this table is manual, but this section is automated. So whenever you hit refresh, only this particular section will be updated. But this, if there are any changes, if there are any row deleted or added, you have to delete or add accordingly. Now from this table, we are creating another query. So if you go here, allocation table 2, the source of this particular query is that table, allocation underscore table, right? And from there, we are just changing the types of data. So this is a text and this is percentage. And then we are merging this particular table with this table. So prepayment summary and allocation table 2. If you merge these two, you get this table, final allocation table, like this. So let's see how we have done that. So steps are almost same as we have done in the earlier bonus lecture where we have shown you how to do this kind of summary. We got the allocation table as I showed you moments before how we got this, and now we have the final, we have the prepayment summary table, right? So how it is done? So we go to source. So what is the source here? From the dynamic path which we have created, and then we get all the sheets in the entire workbook. And now we are filtering with the sheets which has a starting with prepaid name, right? So we get only prepayment sheets. And then if summary table is already included, we are removing that. So better you keep some other prefix for the summary table. So I have changed it to PP summary. That's why it's not showing up here. Now I'm removing the other columns than table, because these columns other than this data column doesn't have any data in it. So I'm removing those columns, and then I'm expanding the data. So once I get it, I'm clicking this double-headed arrow and I'm expanding the data, and I get full details. So since the structure of our all sheets and prepayment schedules is is exactly same, we won't have any problem. So you have to ensure that whenever you're dealing with Power Query, you need to have this kind of structured data. So in our case, as you know, all the schedules are structured properly. They are having exact same number of columns, and row structure and the data or number of rows in each schedule is also same. I'm exporting data, then I'm removing top rows. So if you go up, you don't need these first 4 top rows. So I'm removing first 4 top rows, and then I'm promoting the headers because I want these dates, and then I'm changing the data type. Now reason why I'm doing that, because I want to extract only the word prepaid. Once I change type, all these data types becomes text. So I can go here and do a text filter, which I have done here. You can see here. So I have selected begins with prepaid. So anything begins with prepaid, I want it. So I got that. And then, so in the second filter, I'm selecting the start column and removing anything which is null. So this is the does not equal to null. So as you can see here, we have nulls in this particular column and we don't need that. So I'm going to filter that in the start column. And now I'm removing the columns which I don't need. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 columns we don't need. We only need from the start of the month, which is 2019. And after that, I'm unpivoting all other columns apart from these 2 first columns. So all these date columns I'm doing unpivot. So I'll get this kind of structure. I'm changing the data type. I'm renaming the columns, so proper names, and then I'm trimming the text just in case there's any spacing at the back, at the end of this text, right? And then this table is ready, and I'm not going to load this to sheet. I'm going to keep it as a connection. Now I come to this query, final allocation table, which is nothing but merge of prepayment summary table and allocation underscore table 2. So if I go to source here, you see merge query like this. So I have merged as a new query just in case I want to reuse these 2 queries. So I'm selecting prepayment summary table as a main table, first table, and allocation table as second table, and I want to merge on these 2 columns because they are the common key columns, and I want to do a join of left outer, and I click OK, and then I get this kind of column called table, which has the data from the allocation table, as you can see in the down here. And I'm going to expand this, so I don't need the description, I just need this division ABCD data and those column headings. And then once I expand it, I'm unpivoting A, B, C, D, E. So column, all these columns here to here, I'm unpivoting like this. So I'll get this kind of 2 columns, attribute and value. So attribute is nothing but division name and value is nothing but percentages. So after that, I'm inserting a percentage multiplication with the amount. So I'm selecting these 2 columns and I'm adding new column like this and add a multiplication. Basically, I'm multiplying this amount with this percentage as allocation to each division. Now rename the column. I added the year because I want to show a pivot table properly year by year. I added a custom column here. I could have used the add month name, but I added a short month name like this. So I've used this custom function, which I'll show you. So the custom function is date to tax, and then select the column. So our date column is month end, and what format I want MMM, which is nothing but short form of month. So for January I want Jan, so February I want Feb, for March I want MAR, and so on. And then I have renamed the column, and then I have changed the type, and I have just reordered these 2 columns here near the date. And then I go to home and I load it. So this is the final version I get, right? And the most important thing I have done in this particular scenario, let's go back to the prepayment table, is opening balance, addition, deletion, right? This is the column we are getting from here. So if you go to prepayment schedules, I have added additional 4 values here in column B. So starting from B67 till B70, I have added opening balance, addition, which is the addition of prepayment, amortization, which is the charge from this particular amount for this particular month, and closing balance. So this is the prepayment schedules have been updated like this. So we can get a summary of this as well. And I have linked the exact name of the schedule here in this column A from 67 till 70. So I'm keeping all of them same. So this will help in the consolidation. As you can see, if you go back to the summary, if you go back here, you can see this is column A, this is column B, and that's the reason I have kept the repeated values, and I can get this kind of data. So all these steps are recorded, and when you download this template, you'll be able to see how exactly I have done this. So if you delete this or alter this particular summary will not work, so be careful with that. And based on our final allocation table, I have created this kind of new pivot table like this. So for entire year, you can slice data like this. So division A, division B, you can see. And another table I have created, which is more important for accounting point of view for analytics, is the movement. So for example, prepaid electricity subsidy account, for this particular GL, I have all the data. So opening balance, addition, deletion in a summarized manner for each year. So if I go to 2020, I have the data. So for example, prepaid subscription, we have opening, addition, amortization, and closing balance. So with these few simple tricks and applying Power Query in a smart way, you can generate this kind of refreshable report, which you can use it for many purposes, for your presentations, for your budget. The most important thing would be budget and forecasting, which will be really helpful. And you derive the exact figures without any errors at all. So this was my bonus lecture for you, and this particular template will be available for download for you. So don't forget to download it from the resources section. And I'll be coming up with one more bonus lecture where I'll be consolidating the VBA model with Power Query. So if you remember, I mentioned that Power Query will not read data when there are sheets which are locked. So if you remember our prepayment VBA model, the VBA model version of prepayment expenditure has controls and checks, and all the sheets are locked programmatically, right? So in that scenario, Power Query cannot read data. But I have found a way to work around that, and I'm currently working on it. And once that model is ready, I'll be sharing with you the same, and we'll do a walkthrough of that model as well. So thank you so much for watching, and let me know what you think about this particular model. If you have any questions or query, let me know in the Q&A section. Thank you so much.